What's up, guys? I'm Bread, and I've got some really cool information about Battlefield 5's June update and some of the potential content we could be seeing with the new Libya map. Now, this information comes from data miner Temporyal, so make sure to go check him out, and also take this information with a grain of salt, as none of this has been confirmed by DICE or EA. But hey, we can always hope. Now, Temporyal found 4, as of now, unreleased American planes in the code after the release of patch 6.6. 2 fighters, more specifically the P-51D and the P-51K, better known as the Mustang, one of the U.S.'s most prolific air-to-air and air-to-light infantry fighters of World War II, were found in the data for patch 6.6. Though there was not much real-world difference between these 2 fighters, they would most likely mirror the game's Spitfire VA and VB variants, with the slightly different specialization trees like wing-mounted M8 rocket tubes for air-to-ground combat. These planes were used in real life for mostly land-based operations, leading to speculation that these planes might be included in the upcoming map releases for the June update. Whether that be just a confirmed Libya map or a potential expanded Provence map, both of which take us away from the Pacific theater, but with a possibility of the US faction making its way to the European or African front. If the US faction is used versus the German faction on the upcoming Libya map, it would make perfect sense to include planes much more realistically set in those environments, as the Corsair was used almost exclusively for deployment off of aircraft carriers in battles such as the air battle at Coral Islands. This would necessitate the introduction of the Mustang or the P-51D/K as the fighter for the Libya map. Alongside the P-51D and the P-51K, files referencing the A-20 heavy bomber and the P-70 night fighter were also found within the patch 6.6. These would most likely be the bomber counterparts to the P-51D/K and finally fill the need for a US heavy bomber, not just a Corsair fitted with underwing bombs. The A-20, better known as the Douglas A-20 Havoc, was used by the US in both the Pacific and European theaters between 1939 and 1944. It had backwards-facing turrets and served as a heavy bomber for a majority of the war. The A-20 variant specifically was made for high-altitude bombing, with the A-20A used for low to medium-altitude engagements. As I said before, it would be great for the American faction to have a bomber, similar in armament to the British Blenheim or the German Junker bomber. Included in the files were also a variety of potential different weapons and bombs the A-20 could use, including 2 times Bat glider bombs, which sound incredible. They would be ASM-N2 bombs with wings, allowing them to glide and travel further when deployed. This would be excellent for longer range bombing, allowing you to stay further away from Fliegerfaust and ground AA fire. The files also mention a 2 times LMG rear-firing turret, most likely which would be mounted at the back of the bomber and allow for fighter defense. I personally have been very disappointed with the rear-facing turret in the Blenheim, so hopefully it would be more potent, especially if it's a specialization option. In almost every reference to the low-altitude variant, the A-20A, the files also mentioned 4 times parafrag bombs, which would be fragmentation bombs used for low-flying bombing, most likely attached to parachutes. The other bomber mentioned, the P-70 Night Fighter, was actually a stealth variant of the Douglas A-20, used for nighttime raids. It is very similar to the A-20 and uses the same chassis, but is normally painted black and does not have the nose port that the A-20 possesses. The files mention several loadout options that support the idea of a stealthy bomber being added. Both 2 times HMG no tracer and 4 times LMG no tracer, that's heavy machine gun, and light machine gun are mentioned, being forward-firing machine gun variants that do not use tracer rounds, quote, for stealth. This could be useful in low visibility settings, especially if DICE adds night variants of pre-existing maps, which, in my opinion, would be an amazing addition to Battlefield 5. Otherwise, I don't know how valuable these specializations would be, especially as some fighter variants already have in-plane radar. This brings up the question of whether the A-20 and the P-70 will be 2 different planes with their own specialization tree, or if they are 2 sides of the same plane, as it was in real life. It's possible that one side of the specialization tree would be dedicated to the heavy bombing aspect, as the A-20 was, while the other is more about stealth and taking your targets out from a distance with the Bat glider bombs, for example, as the P-70 was. Personally, I could see DICE only giving us one plane to do both of those things, but I would definitely prefer two. The discovery of these planes also brings up the question of which faction will be used in the upcoming Libya map. The US did fight in Libya during World War II, and I would love to see the American faction outside of the Pacific with a new cadre of weapons and faction-appropriate airplanes to use. Do I think DICE is going to go that extra mile for Battlefield 5's final update? Most likely, no. Again, take these leaks with a grain of salt. But I would love to see DICE give the fans what we've been asking for, like the Mustang, and an increased use of the two new factions. And honestly, I would love to see DICE admit their mistakes and try to reward us for sticking around for so long through the incredibly strange life cycle of Battlefield 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. Many thanks to Temporyal for the information for this video. Make sure to go check him out. Like this video and subscribe for more Battlefield news and updates. Peace.